We are ending the year with the government watchdog group Open the Books, and today we are recapping the waste of the year. You see him almost every Friday right here, founder Adam Andrzejewski from Open the Books. Welcome to you, Adam.
Welcome, Angela.
Well, let's start with a report that you put out every year called Where's the Pork? For years, earmarks were really considered a dirty word, even banned by Congress. Now it's back and getting some backlash. What did you find?
Lots of pork barrel spending in the last omnibus spending bill in Congress. There were 7,500 of these local projects, these member pet projects, costing the American taxpayer $16 billion. Earmarks certainly are the currency of corruption in Congress, and they're designed to give a local project to a member of Congress to get their vote on these massive spending bills. Here are some examples. $1 million went on an earmark to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. $2 million went to the Hip Hop Museum in New York. We actually found 2 earmarks flowed to the Irish National Heritage Museum in Maine for the total of $3.5 million. So I guess it's the luck of the Irish.
Well, listen, Adam, not everyone considers all these earmarks a bad thing. I mean, you can take, for example, the Times reporting earmarks for police departments, for these body-worn cameras, even for reading programs for kids. Those are some earmarks as well.
So certainly there is some merit to some of the requests. Some members of Congress were responsible, but there's billions of dollars our auditors at Open the Books found of local projects that members of Congress have no business funding. I want to give you some of those examples. $1 million went for a staircase to the beach in Mundo Cove, California, so the surfers could make their way to the waves a bit faster. There was $64 million that funded a train to nowhere, the Honolulu high-speed train. The feds were actually considering this summer pulling the plug on this billion-dollar boondoggle, but the U.S. Senator from Hawaii just earmarked another $64 million to the project.
Now, one thing your organization do, you track funding all over the place. In May, your organization releasing a report finding that $325 million in third-party royalty payments from healthcare entities to the National Institutes of Health. Now, how did you come up with this number, and how does this trickle down to us, everyday Americans?
So during the pandemic, many people felt that big government was really close to big pharma, for example. So now we at openthebooks.com, we know just how close they are. Every year, the National Institutes of Health, they dole out about $30 billion worth of grant making to the entire healthcare industry. And now we know, coming back through the other door, over the course of the last decade, was $325 million worth of these third-party paid royalty payments. And so, NIH needs to open the books on those. We found this because we filed a federal Freedom of Information Act request. The agency ignored it, so we sued them in federal court with our lawyers, Judicial Watch, and then they had to produce over a 10-month period 3,000 pages worth of line-by-line royalty payments.
Was some of that information redacted as well? They didn't give you everything, did they?
Yeah, the agency is acting like they had a lot to hide. So they knocked out the name of the third-party payer, think pharmaceutical company. They redacted it, blacked it out. They knocked out the payments to the individual scientists, and they also blacked out the license number or invention number. So we can't really follow the money. The NIH says that they have controls in place to prevent insider trading. We'd like to be able to follow the money. They need to unredact the database and open the books.
And that's what they're saying. They're saying that this may appear to the outside world to be some sort of conflict of interest, but they do say there are these firewalls in place, but you're saying there's a question mark because now the books are open here.
That's right. And the number 2 royalty receiver during a period at the NIH was actually now the acting director of the National Cancer Institute, and that's the institute at NIH where the scientists have received most of the majority of the payments. And so, look, they say there's firewalls, open the books, prove it.
Well, listen, it's that time of year again where we're all getting our W-2 forms, on our computers, online, wherever. And the Biden administration, as we all know, is expanding the budget for the IRS by $80 billion. They're also adding, I see a smile, there are 87,000 IRS agents. Now, this is drawing some concern from some corners. Why is that?
Well, we audited this year the IRS gun locker, for example, and there are 5 million rounds of ammunition. The IRS owns 4,600 weapons, including 639 shotguns, 530 529 long barrel rifles, and even 15 submachine guns. And so, look, everybody needs to pay their taxes. Your IRS should have a sharp pencil, but maybe your IRS auditor shouldn't own a submachine gun.
Well, here's the thing. Not everyone does pay, at least according to lawmakers, their fair share of taxes. You have the CBO, a nonpartisan group, coming out saying this could collect billions of dollars, and that most of this money will actually come from people making more than $400,000.
So, again, I think, the agency needs to be staffed at a level where they can enforce regulations. What we're saying is that the size, scope, and power of agencies at the federal level, like the IRS, has grown so substantially over the course of the last couple of decades that maybe the criminal law enforcement division of the IRS needs to be separated from the tax agency itself. And we advocate the reform of bringing that criminal IRS law enforcement division underneath a traditional federal law enforcement agency like the U.S. Marshals.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.